So getting back to the book, I'm sorry. I went off course there. We're running out of time. It looks like we're going to go overtime tonight. It might be over 3 hours. Whoa! So, Stephen, a.k.a. Tay, a.k.a. VC Commander, is up in Rambo's face with the knife. You know, he's teasing him. He's razzing Rambo, you know, razzle-dazzle, and tracing the scars with the knife, and, you know, bringing it to his face and making all the motions, and teasing Rambo, and really being fucking mean to Rambo. I mean, this is like horrible. This is like a nightmare. If I awoke to this, I would just pray I didn't wake up at all. And you'll see why in a second. But, so he's just relishing it, you know, saying things to Rambo like, you must have missed me so much to bring me this present, you know, referring to the knife, like, all the way back here from America. And Rambo gives that classic fuck you, you know, a bit early here too, I might add. So Tay informs Rambo that they've made special torture upgrades just for him and his kind, in his honor, so to speak. And he snaps his fingers, and his men pick up Rambo, and they cross, like, Rambo's still on the cross, and they carry him back to his pit. But this time, as they lower him down into his pit, Rambo notices that the floor at the bottom is moving. Like, the floor is alive, and for a second he's not sure if he's hallucinating still or what. And they lower him, and his feet touch, and, you know, he realizes, oh my god, it's alive, it's moving, there's things living in here, and he's lowered into this slime, like a slime pit, in his old pit. And the slime pit is fucking terrifying. Full of insects, leeches, excrement, fecal matter, anything, you know, rotten food, and like, oh my goodness. Rambo even is remembering the wormy food they fed him back in the day, earlier, I think, but I forgot to mention that. But they were lowering him down. He's going deeper and deeper into it. And there's just everything in here. Man and animal excrement, everything. And it's like everything's in there. You name it. And it's in there. And then he's going under. And things are like attaching themselves to him and stuff like that. And finally they dunk him under. Like, he goes all the way under. So Rambo's underneath that, holding his breath, you know. They hold him there. They hold him like that, you know. And then slugs start crawling up his nose, unable to move, and you know, Rambo can't even breathe out, like kind of thing, to like get the slug out, because he doesn't want to cause reaction that will have him gag or make him try to breathe, and he'll drown. And he's under there for what feels like almost an eternity, you know. And so he's unable to move, and it reminds me of two scenes from the First Blood novel. The pitch black beetle bat encounter, and the scene where he embeds himself in the ground, unable to breathe, as the soldiers walk over him. I wonder if that's where they got the idea for when Rambo comes out of the wall in mud and kills that guy. So, after being down there for almost what feels like an eternity, they let him up briefly, and then back down he goes. And if you can imagine, like, that anticipation of going down slowly, not knowing if you're going to come back up, you know, because these people really have it in for him, because especially Tay, because he ridiculed Tay so bad by escaping. So, you know, back down he goes. And I honestly thought Rambo wasn't going to make it. Like, seriously, it was so well written. That I could feel the danger at hand, you know. It brought me there, man. Like, especially since on the way back down. And you could imagine, you know, like I was saying, with that anticipation and being under, the anticipation of being underneath as well as going down to the underneath, and it must be so disorientating, especially with the smell and everything. You know, he could actually get knocked out by the smell because it's so strong, right? And then he would have to breathe under there and then fill up his lungs and suffocate with living things in his lungs, like snakes and or mini worms and beetles and, you know, scorpions and slugs and leeches and shit. And so he's on the way back down, and a chopper comes to land, and Rambo thinks it's the Americans come to help him. But, you know, we know better because we've seen the movie. And even though it's not planned out exactly the same, it's better because Rambo's waiting to hear the friendly fire, and it ain't coming. And Rambo goes down again, mistaking the enemy for, you know, rescuing hero father figure Troutman. And you can also imagine that now that he realizes things are real again, that the number one thought on his mind must be, why didn't he get picked up? Why didn't Troutman come through? So enter Yushin and Podolsky, and evil as the sun shines, my friends. Like, they smack Rambo up a bit, some more, and then move him to the hut, and the real torture begins. So Podolsky and has his whole speech thing, and Rambo doesn't want to make the radio call, and they read him the pilot-based transcript, so Rambo knows it was Murdoch and not Troutman who betrayed him, and Rambo gets more mad, but he still, you know, he still won't make the call, and they strap him to this mattress, bare mattress, you know, all the wires, and they put this generator cube on his chest and strap his feet to a water board and light that fucker up. And it's way longer than in the movie, like 100 times more intensified. It goes on forever. You know, they bring in the POW to watch, and it gets fucked up. You know, Rambo's being cooked alive. Podolsky is getting hard on this, like sadomasochistically, getting like full-blown erections, like he's totally aroused to the smell of burning flesh that surrounds the room. You know, and it's, you know, it's very openly visible, in plain sight, like in the naked eye, for everyone to see. Like, he's sickly getting off on this. You know, doing really really fucked up shit, like tossing buckets of water on Rambo to intensify the electrocutions, current, and stuff like that. And pretty much like a microwave effect, with Rambo being the main dish, or the Swanson TV dinner. And Podolsky is getting off on it, like, over and over again. And he's really having a grand old time, you know. Evil is light in comparison to Podolsky's darkness here. Like, he's really not a guy you ever want to meet. He's actually more terrifying. He's like, to quote my mom, like, tee-heeing it up, you know, splashing Rambo with water from his fingers, from the bucket, and watching it sizzle and burn off Rambo's chest and stuff. And they do the knife thing. It's disturbingly and deliciously hard to read, the whole torture, you know, like, from where they capture Rambo to where Rambo escapes. I'm not giving away too much, because obviously everybody knows that Rambo's going to escape. So they do the knife thing, you know, where Yushin heats it up and then cutting and cauterizing Rambo's cheek, like the side of his face. And it's all like boner torture for Podolsky. You know, Tay's torturing Banks, the trickster POW, splits his lips, and it, you know, with a kick to the face. Like, these guys are not fucking around. Yushin in this reminds me of that mustached bald guy Indiana Jones fights on the plane in Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know, He goes to put the burning blade in the POW's eye, and Rambo obviously agrees to make the call. So the Achilles' heel is found, and meanwhile, Ko, in prostitute disguise, enters the camp, and after agreeing to give the gate guard extra explicit sexual favors, she turns, she takes out a couple of guards on her way through the camp, builds the bow, swears to kill all of them for hurting her man, Rambo, and prepares the detonator for the explosive arrows. In this one, they don't just explode on contacted pressure. An actual detonator is required for the arrowheads to explode. It's like a wireless detonator device with like wireless contact chip to the arrowhead, and it's like a thing where like the middle of the arrow stock or of the arrow itself is hollowed out, and C4 is placed in the arrow with some kind of contact to the front. If you read the book, you'll know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm assuming it's a real thing because Morel always researches what he does and what he puts in. So I'm assuming it's the actual way they did it way back then, in the 80s. So Rambo makes the radio call, and it's a little different, because this time around, while doing so, he's still strapped into that mattress and that cube and the waterboard, and which is a cool. It makes the scene a lot cooler. I think this comes from part of this comes from Cameron's script, and he eventually tells Murdoch that he's coming to get him, which infuriates Podolsky to the limit, who's also getting off on this sexually. So I'm guessing it's just gonna intensify his actions, and Podolsky, who just cranks the electricity full blast at that moment and just leaves it on. All the power, right? So Rambo starts bucking and howling and screaming and becoming this rage-fueled animal. Like, he's become totally animalistic. His veins are bursting, blood's coming out of his pores, his flesh is sizzling, and his muscles are cooking, and outside the camp is freaked the fuck out. All the guards, everybody, even like the POWs, think he's being skinned alive. Ko is totally freaked out and enraged. The power to the campus starts going out everywhere and coming back on in different spots, and like the generator itself is on the brink of exploding. Rambo's animalistic howling, all flexed out and jerking uncontrollably, and Podolsky notices something is amiss, and he goes over to investigate as the lights are strobing all around him, and it's just deafening noise from Rambo, like mixed with the buzzing and the electrical surges and light bulbs popping, and it's fucking insane. So Rambo uses the force of the electricity in tandem with his convulsive throws from the current of the electricity, and starts breaking down the machine and freeing himself from the machine. And before Podolsky can warn Yushin to turn the power off, Rambo's got his free hand around Podolsky's throat, who at this point is fully erect. And Podolsky, it's very graphic, ejaculates all over the place through terrifying orgasm. And Rambo's staring him down, like right in the face, and Yushin comes over, and Rambo drops Podolsky and grabs the mic with the stand and bashes Yushin across the face.